Let's find relief from overwhelm and overthinking with an ultra relaxing art meditation. So I have my mini watercolor sketchbook. I'm using my Neocolor 2 watercolor crayons here. And for colors, I'm going to pull some blues, a red, bring in this golden brown, and a peach. Nice little peachy color. So that's the color palette. These colors just spoke to me today, and I'll grab a black crayon and set that aside. And I've also got my watercolor brush here. And let this be so easy, y'all. Right now, I'm just kind of counting out how many scribble shapes I want to make, loosening up my grip, easy scribbles on the paper, literally scribbling. So you don't need talent or skill for this. If you can get the tip of your crayon onto the paper, voila, you've got it. And I love scribbling as a form of meditation because scribbles free your mind from perfection. They're just pure expression without rules, without expectations. Scribbles often can mirror the movement of your thoughts as well. And so if you're having chaotic thoughts or a tension headache might be a symptom of that, just if you can feel that you've been stuck in overthinking or you're overwhelmed because your mind chatter just won't stop, scribbling and that physical movement on the paper can help you release those tangled emotions. So I often call this a method for untangling your thoughts. And on a similar note, the act of scribbling is physical. So it helps you shake loose any tension stored in your body. And as you just surrender to the harsh scribbling motions, your lines might soften a bit. They might become more flowy. They may not. They may stay harsh. You might notice sharp edges or points. So it's interesting to see how your scribbles come out on the paper too. And for this particular exercise, I'm layering my scribbles. So you can see I'm kind of working in one area for a little bit, just layering that color. And as you do this, notice your breath. Naturally, your breath might become more deep, bringing you a sense of calm and relief already at this part of the meditation. And don't try to control anything at this point. Let this be free. And that includes with your breath as well. It might be helpful to just notice the rhythm of your breath rather than try to control it. And this part of the meditation can take you less than 5 minutes. I'm coming back here and just adding a little bit of secondary colors to a few of the scribble blobs, not all of them, but just needed to get a little more of that scribbling out of my system before I move on to the next step. Okay, we're ready for part 2. So you'll take your watercolor brush, dip it in water, and then start blending that color on the paper. You don't have to worry about getting rid of all the lines. So if you still see marks under your watercolor swatch, that is perfectly fine. This part of the process, you're softening sharp edges, and it's sort of like being easy on yourself. Soften that tension. soften your stress. By the way, my husband and daughter are doing their own craft project in another room, but if you hear any background noise, that's them. This is life. Sometimes my meditative moments aren't in perfect silence or with wind chimes and birds singing. I might have a little bit of a 5-year-old hollering in the background or, footsteps thudding around. But anyway, just whatever's happening in your environment, let it be there. We're not trying to control anything. And I like to watch back here in the process, I like to watch as the pigment spreads out. I might move the pigment around with my brush. If some of the scribble marks were touching each other, you'll notice the colors blend together. Just trust yourself. Go with the flow here. Let this unfold. So we're not making perfect shapes. We're simply adding water and softening our lines. Watching the color melt and blend can be really mesmerizing. A great way to focus, distract yourself from chaotic thoughts, from overwhelm. This part of the process really draws you into the present moment. And so even though I can still see some of these scribble marks, the lines underneath the watercolor, that's okay. We've softened it here. And I've turned these harsh scribble shapes into something vibrant and soft and flowy. Just take a moment to think about how your thoughts themselves are not emergencies. You might feel like you're thinking about something that's an emergency, but the thought itself is not an emergency. You don't have to figure everything out right now. Okay, so loose grip. So that might be this grip right here is how I might normally draw. And I just wanted to kind of show you how I'm loosening up and holding my crayon in a way that feels loose. I'm not trying to control. It's more like I'm being a guide. And so we're not looking for perfection as we add marks on top of the damp watercolor shapes. And it's really satisfying how the crayons move across the watercolor while it's still wet. So just be here in this moment as you make marks on the shapes. You can play with the different colors you've chosen. There's no mistakes here. I've grabbed my black watercolor crayon and I'm adding in some more marks and lines. This is almost like ultra loose doodling, easy mark making. This shape here looks like a bow tie to me. Just notice, do any of the shapes look like objects? Do they remind you of anything? Chaos can turn into something beautiful when you give it space to unfold. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to take a break. You can simply exist. And as I drop into presence in exercises like this, I'm existing. and I'm creating. For me, this practice is a release of tension and pent up emotions, resistance. And the more I release through a practice like this, the lighter I feel. And as I start to see these different shapes and marks and colors start to work together on the page, I find immense relief. There's a sense of accomplishment that I stuck with the practice through to the end. And there's also just this relief. We started with scribbles. Now we're making patterns. There is a sense of cohesiveness because we're working with a color palette throughout the paper, but it's such an organic process where I let go. I'm not trying to control the outcome. And so as you do this, can you let go? I'll make my last few marks here. You can work your shapes and your lines as long as you like. I like to show this process in 15 minutes or less, just to kind of give you an idea how easy and quick this can be. But go for as long as you need. Don't worry about overworking it. Low stakes. We started with scribbles, so let's bring that focus back to this is low pressure. This is for you. I hope you enjoy this one. I hope you felt relief. Thanks for watching.